Look, I know a lot of people are talking about Black Snape and they're talking about how the show looks like it's kind of stark and unlived in and it doesn't look as good as it did in the original movies. I think that these are worthy things to talk about. But what I don't think enough people are talking about, what I don't think enough people are focusing on is how is Warner Brothers and HBO going to handle Ron Weasley this time? Now, if you've watched some of my older videos, especially the Mary Sue video that's like 5 chapters long, you'll know that I've complained about this in the past. The problem that I have with Ron's character in the Harry Potter movies, as a matter of fact, I made the claim, and I still believe it to this day, that making Hermione as good as she was in the movies compared to how she is in the books, taking all of Ron's bravest moments, all of Ron's bravest lines, and all the bravest things that he did in the book series, and just giving them to Hermione, that this was the beginning of Hollywood seeing, wait a minute, this is an 8-part movie series and they've made like billions and billions and billions of dollars and they've got the super strong female character and they made one of the more heroic characters in the book series kind of a dunce and gave all of his greatest stuff over to the girl for no reason whatsoever. Let's do more of that, except for this time, let's make the girl the main character. And at the time, I called it the Hermione bomb. And I called it that because I thought that it was kind of the beginning of truly making female characters more powerful than they needed to be. They just made them these characters that were girl bosses, and it all started right there. Now, this doesn't mean that we didn't have it beforehand, but if you want more information on that, then watch the video. I kind of go from the 80s all the way up until the 2000s when this started to become a problem, especially in the 2010s. But I want to know how they're going to handle it this time. Are they going to take all of the best lines away from Ron? Are they going to take all the bravest moments away from Ron and give it back to Hermione again? And I'm really interested how they're going to do it this time. Now, to give a little bit of context to this, I want to let you know what it is that I'm talking about. If you've never read the books for Harry Potter, then what you don't know is that Ron Weasley is not the comedic relief of the books. As a matter of fact, all 3 characters, the 3 main characters, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, are all 3 of them kind of this really good match of kids that all complement one another. What do I mean by that? Harry's kind of the leader. He's the one who's the chosen one, and he's the one that all this stuff has to happen for, but he's overly emotional. He's constantly making decisions that get other people in trouble, to include himself, because he doesn't think first. And oftentimes he is so worried about whatever it is that he's going to do and how it's going to affect everybody else that it almost paralyzes him from doing anything. And when he does do something, oftentimes it's too late, or again, is too emotionally filled for him to do something correctly. He's very strong in the wizarding world. He's a very capable wizard, and he's more advanced in the defense against the dark arts than everybody else is. But he's not like some perfect hero who is perfect in every way and doesn't make any mistakes. He makes mistakes all the time. And he's a little bit of a douchebag for like the last 4 films. It kind of gets on your nerves because he's like I said, he's a super emotional hero. And then you've got Ron. Ron is this sort of calmer one. He's the one who's brave. He's the one who's loyal to Harry constantly. He's constantly putting up with the fact that his best friends are either the chosen one or the smartest girl of a generation. One way or another, Ron is consistently being put into this position where he's kind of playing second fiddle to the greatest wizards of the age, and he still doesn't care. Even in his own family, he has brothers that he has to look up to because his brothers are constantly outshining everybody, even Percy, the little shithead. And that's something that makes Ron's character kind of unique. Ron is not exceptional, but he's a good wizard. He's not a bad wizard. He's not even an average wizard. He's described as being almost as smart as Harry, described as being almost as talented as Harry, but he's braver. He doesn't think about things in the way that Harry does. And oftentimes he kind of cuts through all the fat of should we, shouldn't we, and just gets right down to it. He's loyal to Harry to a fault, oftentimes saying, I've got your back, even in things that he probably should be like, maybe we shouldn't do that. And as a result, is kind of the perfect juxtaposition to what Hermione is. Hermione is the smart one. She's the planner. She's the one who comes up with ideas that the other 2 just don't. The trio cannot make it without her capabilities. She's absolutely the logical and planning one of the group. And she's also kind of a weenie. She's a little bit of a coward. Not so much that she won't go into the fray, but not so brave that when the fray actually happens, that she's not going to clam up or get scared to a point to where she's going to kind of mess up. And one of the greatest ways that this is kind of illustrated is that even though she's the one who gets Dumbledore's army together, and even though she's the one that helps Harry get all of this together and plans all this out, and is able to get a group of people that are good enough to be able to storm the Ministry of Magic. When they get there, she messes up and she becomes a liability for the rest of the people for the rest of the time that they're there. Unlike in the movies where she's just alive, capable, and is fighting the entire time. This is not the case in the book whatsoever. And I love Hermione's character. She's actually one of my favorite characters in the book. She's one of my least favorite characters in the movies. And it's because they give her so much. She's so strong, it makes no sense. And in the books, she knows she's kind of third wheel. She knows that nobody wants to be her friend. She knows that she talks too much, and she knows that she's too much of a nerd and her grades are too good. And she kind of condescends to people even without trying. And she knows it. So because of that, she doesn't really have any friends. And because of that, she is so grateful and thankful to Harry and Ron just for being her friend. And she's very self-aware. She knows she's the third wheel and she doesn't care. She just knows that that's the way that it is. And she's grateful for it. It's a really great combination of different aspects to these characters that was so well written that I can't overstate how good these three characters are together. And I still, to this day, I find it so weird. It doesn't mean that the original 8 movies are not great. They're really, really good. I enjoy them. But it's always been this nagging problem, and it's still very weird to me that you would take all of Ron's most heroic moments, especially in the first few films, and you would take those moments and you would just give them to Hermione. You literally take his lines away from him and give them to Hermione. There's even a couple of parts in the books where Hermione is the one that's getting lectured for having done something stupid. And instead they turn it around and they make it Ron who's getting lectured. They make him such a clown. They make him such a comedic relief that it's almost ridiculous for him to be there in the first place, because it's like they're dragging him around. And if you want more context to this, you can definitely go and find this stuff on the internet. There are tons of people that have laid out exactly all the different things that Hermione has stolen from Ron. But I don't think it got as much play back in the day when these movies were coming out because they were so successful. And I don't think that anybody really had a voice against these movies because of how popular they were. With both young people and adults, everybody loved these movies. So to be the kind of thorn in the side of the fandom saying, yeah, but they screwed up Hermione and Ron, they shouldn't have done it. You're not really going to be that guy. A lot of people tried to be, and I don't think it ever made it anywhere. Plus, social media wasn't really exploding back then the way that it is now. But it is there. It is a problem. And I think it started us down a path where these movies that we got for the next 10 years were basically just girl boss movies. And it was, in my opinion, in large part due to the success of Hermione and the Harry Potter franchise. They didn't need to do it. They didn't need to make Hermione so strong. They didn't need to make Ron so weak in order for the movies to work, but they did it anyway. So I'm interested. How are they going to do it this time? Are they going to make Ron the comedic character? I mean, this little scene right here kind of makes you feel like they might, but we'll find out. We'll find out when the show comes out. I'm not saying that and listen, I'm not saying that I have high expectations for this at all. I seriously don't. Warner Brothers is at this point infamously known for making absolutely terrible decisions in the modern age with just one woke movie or woke franchise or woke reimagining after another. And I don't have a lot of hope for this series to begin with. I don't even know why they're doing it. Right? I know why they're doing it. They're doing it for money, but I don't understand what the purpose is to do it this soon. I mean, Harry Potter came out, the very last one came out a little more than a decade ago. It seems weird to start over again. I mean, they still look great. They still do their job as a movie. So I don't understand what we're doing this for. I do think it's kind of an odd business decision. They must really be out of ideas if they're already remaking Harry Potter. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. And then on top of that, if they do decide that they're going to make Ron the comedic relief again, and they're going to make Hermione the strongest witch ever again, if they're going to do that again, then that tells you two very important things. The first one is these guys are not making Harry Potter in a vacuum, right? They're not taking all the books, sitting down in a room with all the writers and saying, okay, I don't care what happened in the movies before. That's not what's important to us. We're going to sit down and we're going to make something and we're going to be the ones that do it. They're not doing that. If they decide to do Ron the exact same way that they did before, which is completely against his book character, and there's zero reason to have done it, then they're literally just copying that same framework. And the second thing that they're telling you is this. It doesn't matter that everybody hates woke crap. It doesn't matter that everybody's sick of girl bosses. It doesn't matter that everybody's sick of male characters being emasculated. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep doing it. Hollywood is going to keep doing this until Warner Brothers is completely eaten up and just a husk of its former self. They're going to keep doing it until Disney has sold off all its properties, that Hollywood will be a complete ghost town. And they're still going to be making woke crap because they just can't stop themselves. That's what it tells you. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I thought that I'd pump this out because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this Harry Potter stuff. And I just don't see anybody making this argument. Yes, it's true that they are making Black Snape. And yes, it's true that all of these people in here kind of look like cosplay versions of Harry Potter. All of this is true. And yes, it's true that Black Snape kind of doesn't make a lot of sense unless this is your priority. There's no reason to do it unless your priority is to make intersectional DEI woke stuff as your priority in filmmaking or in television making. And that means that it supersedes storytelling, right? Obviously. So there's no reason to do any of that. But I don't see anybody talking about Ron. And quite frankly, to me, that's a bigger deal. Ron is one of the three main characters, and he was done so dirty in the last movies that I kind of want redemption for him. I want him to be a hero again. I want him to be this heroic, brave, knightly character that he was in the books that he's never been in the movies. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'm the Drmexican, and I'll see you next time.